All right, what's up, guys? Welcome to the 63rd episode of The Get Down. My name is Cream.
Gary W. here.
All right, we're back with another episode. I think this episode, we've been talking about that goals / year-end checklist and stuff that we need to be thinking about and you guys should be thinking about. I think we're going to do that this episode, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is the time of year to get it going. We've been talking about it for long enough now, and it's just been kind of put on the back burner. But everybody got to take a deep breath and get ready to reflect, and then also set up for the future and start thinking about what 2022 is going to look like.
Yeah, I think there's a few things that I've changed recently for my end of year process that I think has helped me greatly. So
can I start with something though?
Yeah, go ahead.
Quickly. Because this isn't something that I always did. There's one reason that, you've been super successful over the course of your career is that, you're a planner, you're super organized, you use all types of applications, you adapt and use new applications and get rid of some old stuff. You don't get stuck in your ways. You're just a calendar driven person. You're like, okay, let's put it in the calendar. Okay, let's put it. You want to go to dinner? Yeah, let's put it in the calendar. It's like, well, I'm not at all like that. I'm just like, call you 5 minutes before and go. And you look at everything, almost everything in life is like almost like a business move or a business decision. And, I know I'm giving Cream mad props here, but like, this is what set Cream apart early on in his career, that this is the way he looked at things. And he's really taught me how to adapt and look at things this way. And this is why Get Down has grown drastically, is because of a lot of these things. So I'm going to let you really take the wheel for a lot of this episode and just kind of, interject where I need to.
Yeah, but I mean, I think, thank you, first of all. But I think on the opposite end of the spectrum, sometimes I think I over plan and over schedule, and sometimes just need to go with the flow. So you kind of got to find a happy medium of the two.
Right.
And I think that's why our partnership works, is because when I get too crazy and OCD, you can pull me off that ledge. And then when you get to like last minute or whatever, I can be like, well, wait, Gary, let's figure this out. What are we doing here?
Yeah, true. But yeah, let's reflect on this crazy ass year and kind of talk about where we started and where we're at now, because it's drastically different from where we were at last year this time.
Yeah, I think this year we're now entering 2022 with a little more of a vision of as far as where we're going to be as far as a country. Are we going to be open? Are we going to have jobs? Like last year we had no idea. So it was really hard to plan for 2021 because we didn't know what was going to happen. We didn't know if we were going to open and then shut down, if we were never going to open. So it was very tough from a business stance to be able to create goals that we could really stick to. And I think all the stuff that we talked about at the end of last year was mostly GDU stuff and learning and coaching and teaching stuff.
Right.
So shooting videos and doing, webinars and just stuff that our business is flourishing. We've gone from 10 gigs in January to 200 gigs at the end of the year. So it's been a crazy ride here the last, we could call it, I guess, 20 months probably. So I think it is kind of refreshing to now think about 2022 and close out 2021 with a pretty safe bet that we're going to be open. I mean, maybe something happens that we aren't, but I'm pretty confident that we're not shutting down.
So in reflection of 2021, there are multiple things that we really need to be thinking about. I think in any given year that's normal, that wasn't 2020, you're going to think about, gig goals. So if you want to start small, like your gig goals, I always like to think about what's like the biggest gig that I want to take and then like shoot for that. And then really kind of figure out, what my DJ business looks like as far as a gig standpoint. Then financial goals obviously will come after that. And then like setting up your accounting for the year. You know, are you using something like a QuickBooks? Are you using an Excel spreadsheet to keep up with payments? You know, because sometimes things fall through the cracks and you don't want to be left with doing a gig and not getting paid for it on a smaller scale. And on a bigger get down scale, like we have to think about ways to adapt as our business grows. You guys should be doing the same as your business grows personally. You know, what kind of applications can you use to make your life easier? And then just, I think trying to think about the industry as a whole, I think that's always helpful too. Like, where do you see the industry going? How can I get ahead of the curve? What, you know, what do I think music looks like in a year from now? My production, you know, what do I want to produce for the year? Do I need to reestablish my brand? So many things to think about, right? But I think that's, you know, I think it looks a lot different last year than it did this year. You know, our financial goals at the beginning of January 2021 was like, well, just make any money at this point.
Yeah.
I don't care what it looks like. Just let's make any money. And now we're going to look at 2022 and it's going to be probably we're going to look to make the most money we've ever made. And it's going to blow it out hopefully by like 2 times.
Yeah.
You know, 2x, 3x kind of thing. So, you know, in reflection, it has been an absolute roller coaster of a year. Gosh, I've only been down here for a year. It feels like I've been down here for like 10 years, dude. Seriously, like I'm thinking about it now, and it's like I went from living there in January, right? Was that this year?
I don't know. I thought it was last year.
It was 2 years. Okay,
you got me all messed up. I'm like, what?
Well, that's what happens when you lose a whole year. You just forget.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I'm out up there a lot more. So like I'm really trying to I'm really battling with my 2022 goals and as I sat down and thought about it the other day, it's really overwhelming.
Well, we'll talk about some of that today, and we'll help you walk through some of it. At least give you like get your brain moving in the right direction. Because it can be really overwhelming, and especially like you said, you know, you're worrying about am I tracking revenues and expenses, marketing, like all the different aspects of your business that you have to think about on top of like your personal life and your personal goals. Right. It can be really overwhelming. So something that I would suggest doing is we have 1 month left in the year, right? Spend 1 day each week on one aspect of your business or life and plan it and reflect on it. If you want to, like you had mentioned rebranding. All right. If you want to plan a rebrand, spend 1 day, you know, maybe you're going to do a new logo. So find the person that's going to make your logo, send them all the information you want, get the ball rolling there. You want to redo your Instagram. So create the profile, start creating the highlights, like just start thinking about the different aspects of each part of your business and don't try to do it all in 1 day. It sucks. It's not fun. No one likes doing it. But when you're done with it, you're going to have such a clearer picture of what you need to accomplish, how you're going to do it, and when you're going to do it. So, you know, I use Mondays now because I'm not working as much on Sundays as like kind of personal and I read a lot and I take my business course online and like whatever. I use that as like my learning and professional day, so to speak. So maybe you take Mondays and next Monday you focus on your marketing thing. The following Monday you think about what your actual 2022 goals are going to be. And then the following Monday you do a financial day and you close out 2021 and you see what your revenue was for the year, what your expenses were for the year, and you send all that shit to your accountant because, you know, they get swamped and you want to get that done on it early. We're going through some issues with our accounting from previous years that we're going to now have to hash out in 2022, and nobody wants to do that. So
right,
that's how I would close out the year. And yeah, I mean, I think like thinking about your goals, like I said, needs to be both personal and for your business. And
yeah, I think that people probably have a lot more than just, you know, maybe like 4 things or 5 things. And then, you know, I think sit there, write them out. And then if you got to use 2 days a week or whatever it might be for your, you know, personal reflection, and then also setting up for 2022, just get the ball moving before January starts, because January starts and it's fucking cold. And you don't want to do anything, and it's somewhat unmotivating after the holidays. So, if you could just kind of get it going now, it'd be beneficial for you.
I mentioned earlier a few things that I changed that have just helped me improve this whole process. And the first one was this year, I do like a goals day with one of my best friends who also he runs a marketing business, and we kind of spend a day or like 2 days talking about this stuff and talking about our business and our life, and it really helps me. But we did this year in November, and in previous years we've done it in December and January, and doing it in November and having that clear picture of where I want to be in January of 2022 has made me feel so less stressed. I would highly recommend getting this stuff done. The earlier, the better. And maybe this year you're not going to do that, but for 2022, like, think about this time, and it's stressful with all the gigs and all the holiday stuff and the family stuff. And, everybody kind of wants to take a little bit of a break this time of year. So you kind of have to build that into December also. So start early next year. That's a big one.
No, I agree. I think there's a mentality within this part of year. I like to, like, when I'm really going and I'm busy, like I like to fill out the whole day. And then like January, things usually slow down in our industry a bit, right? So that's the time where, you and I usually would vacation in January.
Yeah.
Right. Because like things do slow down, like right after football season, or like right in between that week off of between the playoffs and the Super Bowl is kind of when we go away. So like, personally, it works for me to kind of take a step back as things slow down, where I like to be slammed 24 hours a day during those busy times.
Yeah, I think that's gotten harder for us because we don't really have downtime anymore.
Right.
But yes, like, it does generally it does get slower in January, February, even into March.
Yeah, because you're going to see Sundays start to kind of fall off the table once football's over. So it kind of opens up a day for you. I know that you've personally taken a step back on Sundays, and it's helped tremendously for your Monday. So that's kind of what I mean by things slowing down. You definitely get to take a breath at least. It's a day or a half day that you'll get off. But right now, you got everything going on, holidays and holiday parties and Santa Cons and whatever it might be. It's just a little crazier. So yeah, get that stuff done early and while you're busy, so you can kind of relax for a minute.
Yeah,
if that works for you, right?
No, I agree. It's got to work for you, right? Like the stuff that maybe works for me or Gary might not work for you, so you have to figure it out. But
yeah,
all right. So starting to plan for 2022 and starting to think about your goals, I think another thing that I've changed is really start to think about the big picture first. So like, where do you want to be in 5 years? Do you still want to be DJing? Do you want to be a full-time producer? Do you not want to be in this industry? Do you want to be married and have 2 kids? Do you want to, I don't know, whatever it is. Do you want to be I don't even know, like anything you want to be, right? Think about where you want to be. And I know it's hard to do 5 years out, but think really, really big. Like, what are some of the things that you really want to accomplish? Do you want to own a house? Like, I think that's where you kind of start. And if it's, I want to be a main stage festival DJ and producer, then your goals for 2022 need to help you get to that point. Like, what are the things that you need to focus on this year to get to that 5-year goal, or even a 3-year goal if you don't want to go so far out? Because I think in 3 years, you can accomplish a lot, and you're going to look back and be like, holy shit, like I really did get from point A to point B over those 3 years, even though it might not feel like it while you're in the process of getting there.
Speaking about this in a more of a personal fashion, there's a lot of little 3-year goals that I and we've accomplished that I want to kind of touch on. Like, one was, buy my first house back in my 20s. And I moved back into my mom's house and ate shit for a couple of years and saved all my money up and was able to accomplish that in like 3 years or 2 years, whatever it might have been. While I was doing that, it was like no days off. So I worked 7 days a week for 10 months out of the year. And that's how I accomplished that goal. back in 2015, you and I sat down and we were like, getting overwhelmed with DJ gigs, and so we're like, let's set up this DJ group, for lack of a better term, because in 5 years from now, we're going to be 37, 38 years old, and we don't know where we're going to be at in our DJ careers, right? And here we are, 6 years later, having a relatively successful DJ booking agency. So yes, doing those things, because we did say that, we're like, well, this is a 5-year plan, like, and if it's still happening in 5 years, that's great. And I think here we are. I think this is 5 years later. It's January 2022. Now it'll be 6 years, actually. I think we were 2016 that we started this. So here we are 6 years later, and that plan has come to fruition. So you're right. You can to take something and start big picture first. You gotta be patient with it too.
It's crazy to think, like, Get Down was you and me helping each other fill our calendars, and then now it's turned into this totally different animal. So
right.
It's crazy, but it's because of a lot of hard work, man, and a lot of relationships that we created. And I think sometimes people see the finished product, but don't see all the work that it takes to get to a place. So
yeah, and this all came out of planning because it was January. This was planning for that year.
Yeah.
Right. And that's
we were like, well, can we get 5 accounts? Can we get 3 accounts? Like, that was what how we were talking,
Right. It was, can we get 5? And then it's like, I was like, fuck that. We're going to get 10 by the end of this year, and so, yeah, but so do that for yourself, figure out where you want to be and start big picture. And then you could kind of start working your way backward.
Yeah.
So what's the next thing?
So, all right. So as you're thinking about your goals, I think you could break them down into these subcategories. And if you guys want to write this down, I'll share some of this information, because we've done some videos on this before, but there are different types of goals that I think will help you start thinking about what's important to you. So physical goals, right? Do you want to get in shape this year? Do you want to, meet a weight, get to a weight number? Do you want to run a marathon? Do you want to do yoga, those types of things, right? Something we should all be doing. It's really important for mental health and obviously physical health. We're not in the healthiest industry. So I think physical activity is extremely important. So that's one. Emotional goals. So this is not something I'm very good at, but do you need to talk to somebody to get your mental health correct? I meditate. That to me is an emotional goal, because it helps me get my mind in the right place. Trying to think of some other emotional goals, but those are 2 good ones. Spiritual is another one. Obviously that's for you guys to figure out. Again, that could be yoga, that could be meditation, that can be your relationship with your religion, whatever that might be. The next one is intellectual. So this is a big one for me. So this is reading a certain number of books in a 12-month span. This is taking courses online. This is learning a new skill, Photoshop, photography. I think everyone should have at least one intellectual goal. I think it's extremely important. The next one is avocational. So this is, what are your hobbies? What do you like to do? What are some of the things that you like to do outside of DJing that help you, stay happy and have a good mind and learn and things like that?
That's that stuff that keeps you balanced.
Yes.
I think.
Agree.
Right? Like, all of these things keep you balanced, but I think that more than anything can keep you just mentally in the right space.
Yeah.
Where you're not crushing yourself in one aspect.
So I'll give you an example of one of my avocational goals for 2022. I love cooking and dining and high-end food experiences. That's really important to me, and I like spending my money on those things. So one of my goals is experience one high-end dining one high-end dining experience per quarter. And
Okay.
I'm going to stick to that. So, you know, whether it's a chef's table, whether it's going to a cooking school, whether it's just a restaurant that's expensive that I've really wanted to go to, that's something that I've built into my goals.
I have one in mind already for for Q1.
Yeah, we
One of
got
our
to line them up.
accounts.
I love it. We're creeping up here. So the next one would be vocational, right? And that's going to be for your job, for DJing, or if you have a second job, if, you know, whatever that might be, these would be goals based around, you know, DJing and producing. And this is going to be another big one for us, right? Because that's why we're here, right? We're talking about our DJ businesses. So
right.
that's another one. Marital relationships with your girlfriend, your wife, your husband, your boyfriend, even your family. If you have kids, like any of that stuff, I think would be your marital goals. Financial, pretty straightforward, right? Saving money, earning a certain amount of money, increasing your rates at DJ venues. Social, so spending time with friends. Again, this is kind of crosses over with the avocational, but hobbies, things to get you out of the house, doing things that are not DJ related and work related. And then the last one is parental. So if you have a family, if you have kids, you could set some goals around spending time or doing things with them. So those are the types of goals. And then something that's really important is creating SMART goals. So SMART basically is an acronym for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. So an example would be, it's not going to be, I want to produce music or I want to make my own song. I want to create one Cream original song by the end of the year. No, that's not a SMART goal. A SMART goal would be produce music for at least 1 hour per day, block out specific time in my calendar weekly with my phone off or out of the room. So that's just more specific. It gives you a time frame of when you want to do it. Something else you can also add on there is, I like to break things into quarters because it makes it more simplified for me. So Q1 is the first 3 months and then the next 3 months and so on. I like to give myself a timeline for when I want to accomplish these goals. So if it's something I immediately want to accomplish, it's going to be for Q1 because you want to work on it immediately. If it's something that you want to accomplish by the end of the year, it's going to be a Q4 goal. So another one, just another example of a SMART goal would be increase pay at all residencies by at least $50 by the end of Q3. Book face-to-face meetings with 2 decision makers per month. So I'm laying out the things that I need to do in order to achieve that goal. And I think a lot of times for me, creating goals is more around creating habits and not necessarily the goal. Because if I'm creating a positive habit around, let's say, producing music that I'm going to produce 2 hours every day, that's going to help me produce 4 original songs by the end of the year, and it's more achievable.
Creating those, but it is, and it's less stressful, I think. When you're solely goal oriented, the amount of stress that creates can be a little overwhelming, right? So like you said, like if you start by creating these habits that it all becomes second nature, you're going to get to that goal eventually. Like I sometimes do that where I'm looking at the end of the road before even starting, and that's not the way.
It just seems too big and it's too much work. But if you break it down into smaller chunks, or you break it down into, all right, well, what's the thing that I can do on a weekly or daily basis that can then get me to that point down the road?
Right.
Yeah, listen, this is really overwhelming, right? This is hard.
It is.
This is not easy. And it's not going to be easy. And that's why doing this sets you apart from everyone else, because most people are not going to do this.
When you're, breaking down each one of those goals, from like physical to mental, spiritual, intellectual, and your hobbies and vocational, if you can figure out ways, because I think this is something that we've done pretty well, if you can figure out ways to interweave some of that stuff, to where you're doing multiple at the same time, when you're feeding your spiritual and you're feeding your mental health, and you're feeding your hobbies, and then also your vocational. Like if you don't have to interweave all of them, but if you can interweave at least 2 of them at a time, I think it creates and maximizes your productivity and just it's just the smart way to go about it.
It also kind of lets you know the things that you really care about and that are really good for you.
Right.
Because if something that you're doing is checking off multiple of those types of goals, it's probably something that you should be doing more of.
Right. And you got to get rid of the stuff that's not feeding that. And that's just a good, another way to think about it too.
Yeah, I like that. One other thing too is you don't have to like write these out and make sure that they're smart initially. So the way that I do it is I kind of list out each of those types of goals, and then I'll just type out ideas, like certain things that fit within each of those. And then I'll go back and then I'll say, all right, well, let me pick one or two of these from physical, or let me pick one or two of these from intellectual. And what's the most important thing for me? And then I turn it into a SMART goal and it becomes one of my 2022 goals. So I think just like brainstorming and creating a little note of some sort with ideas for your goal first, and then going back and picking and choosing from that list and creating that goal smart would be the way to go. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm just looking at this stuff and I'm just seeing like the similar things that, you can do with somebody too. Like you could, like usually your best friends or your business partner or whatever it might be, like you should probably be sharing some of the similar goals at the end of the day. And so to brainstorm with somebody after you have sat down and done yours, right? You can kind of figure out ways that you can grow, whether it's together or just bounce ideas off of each other, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like what we're doing right now. So, I think that's helpful too. Some people,
I think that's invaluable. Like you should definitely do that. That's
some people battle with sitting down by themselves and doing them. You have to do that to an extent and then also share it with someone else.
Yeah. I think finding a DJ friend in your industry that's like-minded and wants to grow and plans for their year and puts in the work, sit down with them and just talk about your business and talk about the things that you're thinking about, and then listen to the other person and bounce ideas back and forth, like you said. And your goals will show themselves through that conversation, like I think that's such a great idea. And that's something that I do and that we do. And it makes such a big difference.
Well, that's what I'm thinking about. Like all the times that we'll sit in the office, and it's not always, I mean, it's predominantly about DJing and the business, but then sometimes it gets into, hey, I read this great article or I read this great book. Here's this. So there you are, feeding the intellectual portion of it, or, you want to, I've been meditating or whatever it might be. It can spiral into a lot of positivity.
Yeah, I agree. And honestly, that's kind of why I love being in the office, because, we have you and me and Angelo and Greg and Tim and whoever else pops in. And it's like, you never know who's going to be in there or what they're working on. And it's a great way to bounce ideas and talk about certain things that you're thinking about, and just have another DJ that you trust in the room to be like, hey, do you think I should do this? Or do you think I should do this? Or should I put this out on this day or a different day? Or what do you think about this? And it just helps you make decisions, and it helps you get another brain thinking about what you're thinking about, or another perspective on what you're thinking about.
Guys, if you don't have a space right now that is a productive space in your house and or an office, a goal for 2022 should be to create a workspace where you can maximize whatever you're working on. And then after you have created that space, surround yourself with people that can come into that space and also work. Like we keep saying, we have the office. Like that's a great creative space where we can get a bunch of guys in the room and, like you said, bounce ideas and whatnot off each other.
Yeah. Not everybody's going to have an office, right? Like we're one of the rare groups. So you just have to find a space at your house somewhere that you can.
It could be at your house. It can be a quiet cafe somewhere. It can be a communal space. There's plenty of work communal spaces in city areas, at least. So if you don't have that currently, definitely think about that. And that should be probably a top priority, because I think from there you can start to really get all this other stuff ironed out.
No, that's awesome, man. I love that. I totally agree. I feel lost when I don't have a set workspace.
Well, I did not, as I was traveling up there over the last, whatever it was, 6 months or 7 months, where there was no, because we didn't have the Carney office anymore. So it was like, okay, I was coming up there to DJ, but the back end work stuff wasn't getting done because
Yeah.
it was just a lot of sitting around during the day. Where I felt like my last trip up, having that space, and I went there a couple times even by myself, it was just so clutch in wanting to come back there, number one, because I felt like I was very productive
Yep.
in my non-DJ hours. So it's something that we spoke about over quarantine a lot because you were locked down in your house. So you needed to create this space, especially if you had kids or a significant other that was doing something else in another room. But I think it's just as important now than it was when we were locked in the house. Especially when you're thinking big picture and you're thinking, how you want to execute future plans. So
Love it.
yeah.
Do you want me to go through, should we go through the SMART goals, or should we just share the video that we created on SMART goals? If you guys want to learn more about it, I mean, I don't know. What do you think, Gary?
I mean, do you think you got to go through the whole thing? I mean, you have it in front of you, so can you like touch upon it or?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just go through it quickly. So,
and then we'll share it. We could share it on YouTube. So coming out with this video, it'll be the next video that we.
Yeah,
put
I think
out
we
on
put
our
it out
YouTube
already.
page.
We put it out already. It was
Is
one
it
of the
on
GDU. It was a GDU bite that I created. And it was probably around this time last year that we put it out. But
so I'll put the link in the description. So
yep,
we'll do that.
All right. So just real quick, right? So we mentioned SMART goals. We didn't really dig too deep other than just explaining what they mean, right? So specific. You don't want a vague goal. It's not inspiring, and it doesn't really give you the push forward to actually accomplish it. So, we were talking about creating online courses last year. So specific wouldn't be create an online course. It would be complete shooting, get down university class by this date. You want to have everything with a time, right? So specific. Measurable, you have to actually have some sort of a number associated with your goal, right? So whether it's a time or whether it's a number of days or a number of hours or an amount of money, something that you can look back and say, okay, I either met that or I did it. Actionable it's like a resume, right? You want to have like action verbs to start your goals. You don't want to have words like am or be or have. You want things like practice, complete, increase, eliminate, stuff like that. Where am I at? Relevant, right? I'm on the fourth one. I lost my place for a second. Achievable. Sorry. So you want goals that you can actually have a chance of completing, right? You want to kind of reach pretty high, but you don't want to reach too high where it's impossible. And like you said, you can't get started because it's so high that you don't know how to do it. So right. if you're just starting to produce, you're not going to say, I want to be on the main stage by 2023, right? Like you want to maybe produce 1 track per quarter or something like that. Relevant. So relevant are goals that are relevant to your life and your job and what you're doing. I think that's pretty straightforward, but you need to align your goals with what's important to you. And then the final one is time bound, which I also mentioned a little earlier, but you want to, set time stamps for when you want to complete things. And I said, I like to break it down by quarter. You guys might want to break it down a different way, but having a deadline, I think, is really important to get you moving,
Yeah.
All right. So I think we're good on the goals, man. If you guys want to talk more, you need to run anything by one of us, feel free to reach out. Like Gary said, we're going to share some of the videos and some of the other materials that we have put out in the past around this to help you.
Yep.
But
I think that's a good place to end. I think we've really fed the listeners with a lot of information. Anything more might seem a little overwhelming, but I think this is a really good place to be for 2022 for you guys to start thinking about over the next couple of weeks. So
agree.
We really, really, really hope this helps If it helps one person, that'd be great.
Yeah. And honestly, like I'll share with my goals with you guys if you want to see them. If you need help like kickstarting some ideas or just getting an idea of like how to do them, again, I'm happy to share my stuff with you guys too. So Gary, do you want to get into this one last topic we thought about? I don't know where we're at on time right now, but
We're doing all right. I think we're like 30.
all right. So I think this last thing kind of fits with end of year, but 2021, we got back to work. We're working full time. Things are moving really fast. What is a positive change that you would love to see for 2022 in the DJ industry or the music industry or anything?
It's kind of funny when you think back now. The positive change last year was I just want to get back to work, right? And now we're like really full swing. I think DJ entertainment is as popular as it has ever been, from the small bar to the nightclub. The spectrum is as wide as it's ever been. And the need for entertainment's really there. So that's obviously why we're so busy. But with that comes a lot of stressors and a lot of reminders about how grueling this industry is. So a positive change, I think, would be something that we spoke about last week, is just valuing the DJ in a way that isn't just, how do I put this? Kind of like we said last week. It's like, yeah, you're like the number one priority when you're late, but when you got to get paid, or you think, you want
They're
an increase
shortchanging you $50, or they're battling over
That's what I'm
50
saying.
bucks.
You want an increase in pay, and it's $50. You're talking about 3 drinks at some places. It's that part, like the valuing the DJ a little more, and probably thinking about how we can provide and show value in order to get that respect that we feel that we deserve.
Yeah, I think that's a really good one, and I think that's, from a DJ perspective, that's something that we could all relate to. I think one that I'm gonna make is kind of selfish because we're dealing with it, but something that I would love to see now that, like you said, all these places want to do entertainment, want to book DJs. I think if you're a venue and you want to have entertainment, you need to buy the equipment necessary to have entertainment,
right?
For a number of reasons. I think, yeah, it's going to cost you some money up front. Let's say it costs, I don't know, anywhere from $2,000 to $3,000 to get you up and running. I'm sure it could be less than that if you really wanted to, but whatever the number is, like, have working speakers, have a booth monitor, have a DJ controller, if that's what you're going to have, that's up to standard with professional DJ, because you'll be able to book better DJs. The DJs that you do book will want to come back, and it just creates a better experience for everyone, the DJ and the customer. And I think when the customer walks in and sees, oh, there's a full DJ setup and maybe there's some lighting and the speakers sound good, it makes them want to come back too. So I think for me, that's my number one change. Venues, you've made your money back. Now invest in your business and get the DJ and the sound and the music up to snuff for 2022. Like, please, I'm begging you.
How can you expect, like, you're expecting professionalism from the DJ when they come in. You're expecting them to be on time. You're expecting them to play the right music. You're expecting them to interact with your crowd in a positive way. Well, now treat them with respect and at least have some kind of professional equipment there. You can't expect a DJ to be professional if your DJ equipment isn't.
Yeah.
So
it's super frustrating when we bring it up, like, hey, this is broken, or we need this. Like, it needs to be addressed immediately. It can't go weeks at a time, like that's what's super frustrating to me. I think things are going to break, things are going to go wrong, but I think it's how you react or how the venues react to those things and make it right. Like, you can't say you want to do nightlife and then have a toy or a broken toy even in your venue. Like,
yeah. There's a ton of wear and tear right now. There's a lot, people are working, and there's 4 and 5 and 6 gigs a week getting played on this stuff for many, many hours. You're looking at like 30 hours of log time, a weekend. And stuff's going to go wrong, but you have to be willing to replace it in order to keep the correct entertainment in your,
I also understand too, that it's hard to get, like, if you want to get an SRT right now, you can't, or you in January or whatever it is. Or if you want to get somebody to come in and fix your sound, it's like, well, who do I even reach out to do that? So I know like some places have closed and businesses have closed and people have changed. Places that I used to bring my DJ stuff to get fixed no longer fixes DJ. Like, a lot has changed. So I understand, but yeah, I think that's my biggest one. And you could see as I get fired up about it, that it's important to me.
That's definitely a good piece of advice for all management and promoters, even, and owners that might listen. So
yeah.
All right,
man. I think this was a great convo. And like you said, I think there's been a ton of info in this. So Gary and I will try to put in the notes as much extra content as we can to kind of help you through this. And like we said, if you have any questions or you want to share your goals with us, or you want us to share some goals with you, let us know. We're here for you on this one because we know it's a big one.
Yep, for sure.
All right, real quick, I'm going to just go through where I'm at this weekend.
Nice. I should probably do the same.
I am celebrating a birthday on Thursday, tomorrow, December 2nd.
Wow. I'm not going to ask how old.
I mean, do I share how old? I've been telling people how old I'm going to be, and they'd be like, no way, you're that old. And I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty old.
Yeah, getting there.
Oh, man. All right. So I'm at Tally Ho. It's also Doug Spin's birthday the same day, December 2nd. So big shout out to Doug. Doug and I are going to be DJing together at Tally Ho for Thursdays, which we always rock out. Friday, I'm at the Ashford. And Saturday, you and I are back at Birch together, which I am very excited about.
Yeah, last time we did it was quite a time.
Yeah, we got great feedback last time, and we talked about it on the pod. And you're like, "Wow, that was a good one."
Yeah, hopefully it's as good. I got to start prepping for that today. Actually, I got a big just 626 weekend apparently. So Latin night tomorrow, which is Thursday night. Friday, I haven't played a Friday there in a long time. It's been like 3 months, if you believe it or not.
Really? That's the only day that I play there, really.
So I'm back there on Friday for we do the drag shows at from 10 to 11 around that area, and then it's party time after that. I'm back there for drag brunch on the 4th, and then like you said with you at Birch, and then at the Shep on Sunday. And then That's it, right? We got nothing Monday, right?
No.
I feel like there's stuff starting to creep up on Mondays.
Gary's going to be up here for a little while, so I'm sure you'll see him out and about, or if you come pop in, say what's up. The other thing that I would like to mention, also tomorrow on my birthday, I am going to be giving out my Cream all-time edit pack. And I did this last year, and it was like 170 edits. It was all my old shit, and I actually charged for it. So I was asking people to pay. I don't remember how much it was. I think it was like $25 or something. I don't remember. Whatever it was, I felt a little weird about it, asking people to pay for my edits since I've always given them away for free pretty much. But because of COVID and not having a job, it was something that I just felt like I was going to do. And I appreciate everybody for contributing and those people who bought it. But this year, I'm going to give it away for free. I cut it down, so it's only 60 edits, but it does include 2020 edits. So look out for that. Tomorrow, it'll be up on social media, and you can download it for free on SoundCloud. And I'm real pumped about it. So you guys can grab all my edits from the last, I don't even know, 8, 9, 10 years.
Jeez.
All my favorites, all the good ones. So.
Yeah. And then next week, Get Down Radio is going to come out. I'm sure we're going to say it again on next week's pod, but just to get ahead of it.
Yeah, we always got stuff coming out. So
we got Hova coming up on Get Down Radio. I'm excited about that.
Nice. All right, guys. Thanks for listening to this episode. My name is Cream.
Gary W.
See you guys next week. Peace.
Peace.